haven't been so sure. I'm tired of being lonely all the time.
And now, Morning Chat with Ken Hayes on WSYB and WSYB1380AM.com. Talk of the day, conversation with folks around town, and you. Your calls are always welcome at 802-773-9792 or toll free 877-241-5960. And now, here's Ken.
I was hoping you'd be there. Ken Hayes here for a Monday, September 29th, 2014. Holy Hannah, can you believe that October's right around the corner? Yikes, it's flying by. How come it didn't fly this fast in math class and history class in grammar school? That's rhetorical. You needn't answer it. It's 7 minutes after 9 o'clock, WSYB, the place where we serve you best, WSYB. Bonnie Olson joining us this morning, certified Martha Beck life coach. She was here with us last year, you might remember, just about this time for her seminar on stress, what it is, why we have it, how we can get rid of it. And she's back today to tell us about a new series of classes on peace and calm in chaos. Oh, do we need you here during the Procter Gas Morning Show, weekday morning 6 to 9 on WSYB, Bonnie. Oh, do we need peace and calm in the midst of that 3 hours of chaos? For 3 Thursday evenings in a row, beginning this Thursday, October 2nd, 6 to 7:30 p.m. in the CVPS Leahy Community Health Education Center at Rutland Regional Medical Center. Actually, at this time, registration seems to be full up. That's how popular she is. But you never know. There might be a last-minute cancellation, so you can always contact them. Community education number is 772-2400. Or by now, we all know the website, rrmc.org. And this is a 3-part class that includes presentations on how and why meditation works. There'll be a focus on practicing the skills of meditation, including grounding and centering exercises, basic and guided meditation, and ways to manage your thoughts, because you can create your life with your thoughts, and we'll explore that concept and a whole lot more in this hour here on SYB with Bonnie. And participants will also get that little book, The Work of Byron Katie. So first of all, welcome back. It's fun to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy to be back.
You look great.
Aren't you kind?
The
Thank
year
you.
has treated you well, my dear. Obviously, centering and meditation and eliminating stress agrees with you very well.
I think it agrees with everybody.
I would say that's a safe bet. Maybe we should start at the beginning. We should agree with everyone on what meditation is, and then we can branch out from there.
Sure. What meditation is, it's really a state of mind, and it shows itself by being in profound awareness and deep peace, which when your mind is calm, silent, but yet alert. So it's not like you're sitting there and then knock off and go to sleep. You really are alert when you're doing it. And it's thoughtful awareness, if that makes sense.
Well, it does, but I mean, you've raised an interesting point, because when you say, Bonnie, you don't mean you're falling asleep. And
Right. We don't want to be falling asleep.
And
in
folks do have that
But-
problem, especially when they first start.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, most of us are exhausted. We're
Yeah,
stressed and
exactly.
exhausted. So
Exactly.
you give our body a few moments just to have some downtime, and it's permission to just totally zone out. Yeah, and go to sleep.
Yeah.
So no, meditation is definitely a practice. And sometimes you sit down and it goes better than other times. There's no right or wrong, no good or bad. It's just mostly allowing yourself to take the time to give yourself the space to just be.
So how would that differ from, I don't know, from relaxation or thinking or just basic concentration?
Well, it really is a state of just being. What researchers have found is that it's because we have language that, and often cases we are so stressed out, we have constant flow of thoughts going through our mind. And a lot of those thoughts are negative and repetitive thoughts. And we're creating neural pathways. The more we think of a particular thought, we're creating a very deep-rooted neural pathway in our mind. And computers are very similar to brains in that they're always looking for shortcuts. They're helping us by giving us shortcuts. Well, those neural pathways that are deeply rooted by particular thoughts that we think over and over again have the same thing. Our brain wants to automatically go to that thought, a shortcut, because it assumes that we're going to go there. So it just keeps on bringing us there. So it becomes a habit of thought. So meditation is there to help us to drop the language, the verbal mind, so that we can stop going down those roads in our mind that create a lot of suffering for us in a lot of cases. So we want to try to drop our thoughts. And the way we do that is to just get real quiet. And it's impossible just to clear your mind completely of thought because we are human.
Yeah.
But what we do is we just allow ourselves to think perhaps one word while we're getting started.
Is this where that Om comes in?
Or a mantra. There's a lot of Sanskrit ancient words that are used. And they're usually one word or two words. And it's just, because we don't speak Sanskrit necessarily, they're words that we can focus on without really engaging in them. It just becomes a mantra. Just you can even use words that you know to like peace or calm and just think that word over and over again. But you're mostly not wanting to get trapped into sentences and in to-do lists and things like that. We want to just separate ourselves from that noise in our mind and get...
Yeah. This sounds like you're trying to, that's a good expression, it turned down the noise in the mind.
And it's going to keep coming back. It's going to pop back in, but then you just kind of gently push it aside and continue thinking that thought. That one word phrase.
Is this getting rid of that nagging little inner voice, the one we carry with us from childhood that brings back everything that we got yelled at for, everything that we did wrong, everything that we were criticized for, that we, that voice that we always run back to, that always lurks somehow sneaky in the background, ready to pop up and say, "No, you didn't do that right, kiddo. No, you blew that one, kiddo. Oh, you should have done that better, kiddo."
Well, that's
that kind
another
of thing.
That's another aspect of what we're going to be doing at this workshop. It's going to be a 3-part workshop. One part is meditation, another part is grounding, and another part is thought work. And that's when we get into these painful thoughts that we want to drop. We want to learn how to loosen them up and in some cases discover what even they are, because some of those thoughts from childhood are really pushed back to our subconscious mind, and we don't even know that those are driving our behaviors or driving our emotions going through our everyday life. But we always feel this little bit of ill at ease. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. And usually it is exactly that. It's from a thought and oftentimes an experience when we were much younger or some tragic event, something that has been constantly back there in the background that we've never really dealt with and we don't even recognize it. So sometimes with coaching, we can bring to light what's going on. And from that place, we can start working that thought, whatever it is that's really bothering you, and we can start chipping away around the edges. The mind is pretty tricky. It won't completely drop a thought, right? I can't convince you that, whatever your dad said to you as a little boy isn't a problem anymore.
Right.
But we can chip away at the edges, and the old Buddhist philosophy is that the truth is not painful. It's really the lies that are painful. And so we want to get to what our personal truth is, and then from that place we can drop the pain. We can drop the suffering.
I really like talking to you. I feel better already.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Bonnie Olson is our guest this morning on WSYB, certified Martha Beck life coach. You can reach her, by the way, at BonnieOlsonLifeCoach.com, all spelled out, all one word, or you can email her, BonnieOlsonLifeCoach.com. Series of classes coming up, Peace and Calm in Chaos, 3 Thursday evenings in a row, starting in a couple of days. This Thursday, October 2nd, 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Rutland Regional Medical Center, the CVPS Leahy Community Health Education Center at RRMC. 772-2400 is the number there, or rrmc.org. there are physiological effects, meditation as well. I mean, there are some really
tremendous
positive
changes.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Studies have shown that you can really change your brain, and it's almost like magic compared to what we think. How we think things usually go with our thoughts and things. Brain studies have shown different parts of our brain actually physically changing with the use of meditation. So it's a pretty wonderful thing. The gurus who have meditated over somebody who is ill, they've actually been able to reduce the size of tumors in the patient or increase the size of tumors in themselves or patients. It's wild, but that's going on a whole other subject.
Yeah.
But truly, we can, by controlling our thoughts in a way of letting them go, we can really bring on a whole lot of healing in our bodies. Our stressful thoughts put us in fight or flight. We talked about that last year, I'm sure.
Yeah, fight or flight, yeah.
That was a big part of our stress talk last year.
Yep.
But fight or flight, at the same time as you're going through that process in your body and all those hormones are being released, it also shuts down our body's ability to self-heal. So when we know that we are stressed, when we know that we are very reactive, just know that you've shut off that self-healing mechanism and you're opening yourself up for every disease that you can think of.
Basic cell destruction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and we want to be producing healthy cells. And if we can get ourselves to that place of mental calm and quiet, we're much more apt to be sending our body the message instead of, fight or flight or flee. Just we're sending messages of well-being, all is well. And we can start at a very ground level rebuilding our health just by that peaceful state of mind.
And that state of mind also, it'll lower blood pressure. It will.
I got a list here.
Well, share with us. The first thing I'm thinking of is blood pressure because, in reading your biography, you are so much like my wife. With that, you must have had the same mom. They taught you both very well how to worry worry and worry. With capital W's all the way down the line.
I love you, Mom.
Yeah, but Mom.
Yeah.
And she's the same way. And in fact, she's going through that right now because she's just got this death fear. She's got white coat syndrome up the yin yang. She just can't get rid of it. And just recently with some medical procedures, the blood pressure is it's off the charts. There are some doctors who take one look at it and say, I won't touch you. I won't treat you. They're afraid of her stroking out. Mm. On the other hand, if you take her blood pressure when she doesn't expect it, or if they've given her, like they give you the sedative just before you're going under the knife, and it's not only normal, it's just a little below where it's perfect for the chart. So it's just something she's always had, and she's had the whole battery of tests. It's not anything else. It's not to do. She's gone through the whole heart regimen, and it runs in her family. Her mother has it. Her father has it, and yet they all live to be well into their 90s. They have a history of no heart problems, no complications of any sort. It's just it's mental, and she knows it. And it's just, she can feel it happening, and yet somehow she can't seem to, grab a hold of it. And I think the problem is she wants to get it under control. And because she can't get it under control, it's like the dog chasing its tail. It's just, the less control she feels she has, the greater the stress. The greater the stress, the higher the blood pressure. Higher blood pressure, the less she thinks she can control, and round and round and round we go. So
right.
You're smiling and nodding.
Well,
you must have been there, huh?
Well, thought loops. Oh, yeah. You can definitely get into that cycle of thought loops, and you don't feel like that there's any way out. And it creates a tremendous amount of stress. But it also reminds me of back 15 years ago when my father was having some very serious surgery, and he had never been in that situation before. And his doctor actually had him start listening to meditation series. And I think it was prescribed a week or 2 weeks before he went into surgery. And he got so comfortable listening to that. And it really did, it does really lower a lot of, problems with going through those kinds of procedures, just because you're at a much calmer state going in. So I understand what you're saying with your wife. And if she could latch on to some of this meditation and giving herself that time to kind of wiggle away from those intense, fearful thoughts and start visualizing something else. Guided visualization through meditation, I think, is a really helpful way for people who have a very hard time getting into meditation to get there. I went through a health issue myself 2 years ago, very unexpected, and it was the first time in my life that I was ever told that I could do nothing for 2 weeks. And so at first I was resisting it and had that anxiousness inside about not doing anything.
Yeah.
But then I sort of remembered what I learned through coach training about just embracing what is. And I started to, at the same time, it was the first one of Oprah and Deepak Chopra's 21-day meditations that they do for free. I advise anyone who's never meditated that wants to just give it a try to go that route, because you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is listen to Deepak Chopra's soothing voice, and he guides you there. It's a nice way to do that. So I do recommend that to anybody.
Want to take a phone call?
Sure.
Let's see who's on the line. Hi, you're on WSYB. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Ken, do I sound any better, or do I still sound lousy?
Oh, you sound much better. You still sound like you have a bit of a cold, Bill, but you, compared to how you sounded last week, you've recuperated remarkably.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. Before you go on, how are you feeling?
Oh, I am feeling better, and that's
good.
kind of partly why I called Bonnie. Hey, Bonnie.
Hi, how are you? I remember you.
Yes, I was nervous about being on the radio and
Right.
we did those breathing
I
exercises.
remember.
Oh.
So am I doing any better as far as that goes? Never mind the cold.
How you breathing?
I'm breathing fine.
Good.
Ken, you talk about the thoughts going around and around and around, and they
Yeah.
build in intensity.
Yeah, sure.
That's why I use the analogy of hurricanes,
Yeah, there you go. That's very good.
because that's kind of how they develop.
Yeah. Or if you get into and I don't want to get too deep into the woods of physics, not metaphysics, real physics, if you break down Einstein's genius formula of relativity, E equals mc squared, in essence, that is the proverbial dog chasing its tail, but at an atomical level. And that's why you get such a huge explosion from a nuclear device. Anyway, that's not why you called. What's on your mind, Bill?
That's the same thing with emotional disturbances, too. They build in intensity. And then what I think, Bonnie, you're talking about is you sort of, the hurricane, in your case, you try to chip away at it like it moves over land and de-intensifies. Is that how meditation, kind of using that analogy?
Well, meditation helps to really quiet your whole nervous system. It just gets you to a place of quiet by giving your mind something else to focus on besides your stressful and painful thoughts.
Okay, like for me, it's going to Pine Hill Park. Are you familiar with that?
And for a lot of people, it's nature. Oh, yeah. I think that's a great thing to do. I'm glad you suggested that. Yeah.
Because when I am there, it's a different state of being.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It truly is a different environment. And that kind of brings me to why I called. I think what triggered this cold was some stress because I've been kind of separated from my family for a while. Because the real situation with the family is, it's not that they're abusive, they're not. It's more like variable reinforcement. Sometimes they're cold and distant, sometimes they can be very lavish, and it creates an addictive syndrome, the same principle as, say, a casino.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Drama.
Right, the drama, the variable reinforcement. And they've kind of stayed away for 5 years. Now they want to come up and visit, or at least my mom does. And that's what triggered the cold. So that really brings up a question. I know meditation, is it better to meditate and deal with it and then stay in the situation, or is it better to just remove yourself from the situation? In other words, do you ride out the hurricane, or do you, once you get a hurricane watch or hurricane warning, you get out of there?
Well, if we can be more specific, do you engage with coming back into a relationship with your family, or is that what you're asking me?
Yes, because, I mean, I could certainly, if they come here, we could just go out to dinner and that's it, or we could spend several days together, and I could certainly have more control here. That's why it's here, not visiting them. But then when you talk about meditation, is it something that lets you cope with your current situation, or should you try to remove yourself from a potentially hurtful situation?
Well, meditation is great for you any day, any time. But we always have to deal with what we're facing, right? So what it sounds like you're facing is a potentially uncomfortable situation. And what I tell all my clients is what's best for you is best for everyone. And that I don't mean that in an arrogant, selfish way, but you can engage with your family members, but always keep it at a level that you're comfortable with. And if it means them coming to see you and you testing it out and seeing how it goes, that's great. But when drama starts to whip up, you can refuse to engage in that. You have a choice. You don't have to get involved with the drama.
So it should be a combination of meditation and just common sense. Just if the situation's uncomfortable, and you can. Some people don't have a choice, and you can, just a combination of the two, and just being assertive and just setting boundaries.
Right. Perfect.
Now, meditation, because last time, remember we did those breathing exercises? That was a physical interruption.
Right.
Which works. Obviously it did. It did it on the radio.
Well, what it does is it gets you out of that physical state of being in stress, physiological stress. The breath is the gateway between the mind and body, so it shuts off that fight or flight mechanism in your body. And it gets you into the present. And that's where meditation is very important, too, is it's really getting us to the present. Most of us live all of our lives in our minds doing those looping thoughts instead of, we're sitting here and it's a sunny, gorgeous day, and we're not even noticing that it's a gorgeous, sunny day and acknowledging the sun on our bodies and the light breeze breezing across our faces. We are in the thick of the mess in our mind, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why Pine Hill Park breaks the cycle, because it has such an intense nature. You're going to notice those things. They're going to start gently intruding on you. And you're going to, it's like a church I once heard about, come as you are, leave changed. And it's kind of, Pine Hill kind of goes by, I consider it partly spiritual. But meditation, is that, like the breathing is physical. Is meditation cognitive or physical?
It's both. It's both.
Okay. That makes total sense.
Well, it's actually mind, body, and spirit.
That makes even more sense. The last thing is, if someone, and you've heard a little bit of my situation, and I guess other situations, how does someone know if they need a therapist or a life coach?
Well, a therapist will do a lot of past history with you. And a life coach is more forward-thinking. And you can think of a life coach as being like a physical therapist for your mind, basically. We're not like a physician will take care of a sick person. A therapist is more geared toward taking care of people who have mental illness, where a coach is just going to help you to move forward with your life.
Yeah, I should have qualified that question. I should have said the obvious trauma aside, when does someone need a therapist or a life coach?
Well, when people are depressed, they need a therapist.
Okay.
And a lot of times coaches will work in combination with a therapist or psychiatrist, but coaches work with people who aren't dealing with, real crises. Does that help?
Yes, and I don't consider this to be a crisis. I consider it just, choices and situations.
Yeah, that's coaching.
That would be coaching. So I would come on, if I wanted to, if this can't be resolved on its own, or it starts to pick up a little bit, then I would be technically under your umbrella then.
Right. Yep. Yeah, we help people to find that part of themselves that empowers them.
Right, and I agree, because I've done psychotherapy in the past, and I know my past. I could write a book on it, and honestly, I don't want to go back over it again, because I know all the dynamics.
We get tired of our story, and that's a really healthy thing.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're sick and tired of your story and you're ready to move on, that means that's a real positive thing for you.
Oh, good. Well, then maybe I'll...
See, you're making progress already, Bill.
Yeah, I mean, how am I sounding? I mean, because remember last time I was talking to you, I was nervous about even just being on WSYB.
No, now you're fine.
I'm fine. Did I improve, Bonnie?
Well, I've only had very limited exposure to talking with you, but you sound good today.
Oh, that's good. Despite the cold and despite the anxiety, then, well, just the point is, whatever you have sure works, so keep up the good work, and I'll look for you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
you.
Bill.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
John Lennon. I just had to let it go. And it's true. The older I get, kiddo, I got to tell you, the more I just sit back and say, you know what? I just got to let it go. Mm-hmm. And that lyric goes around and around. I love that lyric going around and around in my head because so much of life, and who said this to me? It was Elsie Gilmore from Rutland Uprising and the Urban Mayhem Project, and we'll have her on again in another week or two. Brilliant statement, that all the stuff we deal with just minute to minute, hour by hour, day by day, almost all of it, it's not about you. It's not about me. The guy who cut you off in traffic didn't go out that morning and say, you know that guy in that little pink car that I hate, I'm going to cut him off today. They don't even realize they did it.
That's true.
But you take it personally.
Right.
And then you get all stressed out in it. But if you let it go, if it's, you didn't know any better. And so much of it is just learning to let it go.
Well, for a lot of us, too, we are ramped up. We are at a certain level of anxiety all the time. And that's where this grounding and meditation helps us. I don't know if you keep track of how many adrenaline rushes you have a day, but on average, people have about 50, which is staggering.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
50?
That's what studies show. For a lot of people, it's around 50.
Either I'm oblivious to them or I lead a very dull life, Bonnie. 50?
Yeah. Well, and then I was just recently taking in some information that even eating improper food can send you little adrenaline rushes, which I didn't know. And I don't know if the bigger studies are accounting for those kinds or just, when you get startled or somebody cuts you off or somebody says something negative to you, or then you just alone in your own head, you start revisiting something that happened early in the day. And that one incident, you can rethink that several times in one day. And every time you get an adrenaline rush.
I see what you mean. Okay.
But there's no difference between, having that continue, or multiple times thinking the same thought and having 5 separate things. Your body and your mind don't know the difference. And they're going through all the physiological responses, that you do no matter what. So that's the point. Yeah.
50. I'm just doing a breathing exercise. I don't think I can handle that. That information's giving me an adrenaline rush.
Well, and if you notice that you're startling easily with loud noises or, some surprise, then you know that you're really on edge and that you really want to start bringing it down so that your body and mind are not so reactive. Yeah. And again, that's when these tools really, really are helpful to get you down to a homeostasis, a calm where our body is supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of being up at a higher level, kind of going, wee.
The normal baseline instead of the elevated baseline.
Right, which most of us are in, unfortunately.
We're going to go for homeostasis right now at 9:35 on WSYB, and that means we're going to take the break. And after that, we'll be back with Bonnie Olson, certified Martha Beck life coach, and we'll be talking more about meditation, but also grounding and centering exercises and ways to manage those thought loops that go round and round in our heads, unless we let them go. 9:35 at SYB.
There's no place like home when you need to recover from surgery, illness, or injury. After Dave had hip replacement surgery, he asked for Rutland area visiting nurses. The VNA provided nursing and rehabilitation services designed to help him get better faster, with less time in the hospital and more time recovering at home. Ask your doctor about home health care or call us. We're Rutland Area VNA and Hospice, our area's most trusted, most experienced home care agency.
It's the only local live sports show in the region. It's Sports Talk at a new time, 9 a.m. on Saturday mornings. National and local scoreboard. The Rutland County Athlete of the Week. Live interviews with local athletes. And you can be a part of the action by calling in. It's Sports Talk at its new time, 9 a.m. Saturday morning. Brought to you by Kenny Motors and Carpet Warehouse. So tune in at its new time, 9 a.m. It's Sports Talk on your News Talk and Sports Leader, 1380 WSYB.
An all-aluminum hood, cylinder deactivation, Bluetooth, stability control with anti-rollover technology, satellite communication. Man, what am I talking about? Some super elite luxury sports car maybe? Nope. Even better. It's the all-new 2014 GMC Sierra 1500 4x4 double cab, and this month at Springfield Buick GMC, a member of the Autosaver Group, with your 09 or newer trade, you can finance through us and take an amazing $13,000 off the MSRP. This truck I'm talking about is $40,720, and with this month's big deal, you can buy it for only $27,720. It was $40,720, and it's now $27,720. What? We can't be the number one volume GMC dealer in the area if we sell for too much. $13,000 off new 1500 SLE double cabs right now. Springfield Buick GMC, where we are professional grade, and we're not that far from you, so come on in. Our trucks may be high-tech, but our prices aren't.
I don't believe it. My savings are gone. They're gone.
You're kidding.
Nope, they're gone. They're gone.
Okay, all right. Think about it. Where did you have them last?
I remember I was home, then I took them, and then I spent them on that vacation to Aruba. Then I bought this miniature suit of armor I saw in the in-flight magazine.
And that's the last you saw of your savings?
Yes.
This is so weird.
I know, right?
Weird? Not really. Not saving now means no money later. You'd be surprised how quickly a little money from every paycheck can really add up. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
The armor is cool, though. Oops. I think I broke its gauntlet.
You broke my favorite part.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
WSYB and WSYB1380AM.com. Back to Morning Chat with Ken Hayes.
Phone number, if you'd like to join us, 773-9792, 773-WSYB, or toll free, 1-877-241-5960, 1-877-241-5960. 9:39, 21 before 10 o'clock. Bonnie Olson is joining us this morning on WSYB. Bonnie's a certified Martha Beck life coach. She will be giving a series of classes on peace and calm in chaos, 3 Thursday evenings in a row, beginning this Thursday, October 2nd, 6 to 7:30 p.m. in the CVPS Leahy Community Health Education Center at the Rutland Regional Medical Center. And even though registration is full at this very moment, you never know. There might be a last-minute cancellation, and so you can contact and get yourself on the backup list. The community education number is 772-802, of course, 772-2400, or rrmc.org if you want to go online. If you'd like to reach Bonnie directly, her website is BonnieOlsonLifeCoach.com, all spelled out, all one word, or the email is BonnieOlsonLifeCoach.com. We've done a lot on meditation. Can we switch to grounding? Actually, I think you start with grounding, right? Then you move to meditation in your series of seminars?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about grounding and centering ourselves.
Let's do that. But I forgot to mention when you were announcing earlier, there were so many people who wanted to take part in this seminar that the hospital arranged to have 2 separate sessions going on. So I'm actually starting the first one this Thursday, but it's going to continue. There's a Tuesday class that's going to begin the next week as well. So there's a Tuesday and Thursday for the next 3 weeks.
So just looking, October 2nd and then Tuesday the 7th.
Correct.
There we go. Okay, and then so there will be 7, 14, and 21
right
on the Tuesdays, and the Thursdays would be October 2nd, 9th, and 16th. Mm-hmm. See how fast I do that?
You are so fast. I'm glad you didn't ask me to do it. And the thing is that they are filled, but I know that Peg was working hard at filling slots for the second one, so that you never know. Things come up in people's lives, and it doesn't hurt to get on a list.
Yeah,
definitely.
Good. Okay.
So.
And 772-2400 is the number to get yourself on the list, or you can go to the website, RRMC, Rutland Regional Medical Center. .org, and there's clickable links to take you there and get yourself on the waiting list.
Right.
Okay, let's get centered. Let's get grounded.
Well, grounding is, to me, that I use that tool multiple times a day, every day. And whenever you notice that you're lost in your thoughts and you're feeling ill at ease, it's really great to take those 3 deep cleansing breaths always, no matter what, to get out of that fight or flight and just to get back into your body so that you're aware that there's more to you than what's wheeling around in your mind. So you take those 3 deep cleansing breaths, and if you're sitting, you make sure that your feet are on the ground and literally touching the ground because you're grounding. And you're imagining the earth energy coming up through the bottom of your feet and going up your legs and up your spine, and then circling and coming back down through. Well, it's more getting into chakras and things like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like Eastern
Yes.
Eastern philosophy. Is this like chi and
it is somewhat, but it's regarding the 7 major chakras of our body.
Okay.
So anyhow, as we're tracing that energy as it comes back and loops down, we imagine that there's a cord at the base of our spine, and that all of that energy that we're going to release is going down into the ground to be recycled through that cord, off our tailbone, down deep into the earth. And we do it, and it's surprising, even though it's an imagined process, it really has effects like meditation on the mind and body, and it gets you there quickly. There's a lot of little things that you can do, and everybody can find their own way that they like to ground. Another thing I like to do to just reconnect with myself and to get quiet and calm is to do what I had mentioned, getting my feet on the floor, taking my breaths, and then I place my hand on my heart. And it's so surprising to me. That's our 4th chakra. And as you can imagine, it really can center you and really get you calm very quickly. It really has a sense of peace for me. So anybody out there listening, you may want to try that and see if that works for you too. So I really like that one.
It's funny you should say that, because not even knowing that, I find over time I do that a lot. Especially,
it could be just simply a self-soothing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
You innately knew to do that.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I'd never heard that before, but it's good to know I'm on the right track. I've got one rail anyway.
And as our caller was mentioning, getting into nature, I think
that's big. Yeah,
that's big. Yeah, that I think for me as well, even just looking out the window and getting out of my head and noticing, appreciating the trees that I see out the window and watching the breeze blow through them is really an effective way of getting back into the present. And that's the main thing. That's our intention when we're grounding or meditating. We want to get back to the present. We don't want to get lost in these thoughts. Because that's really, whatever we're thinking is really driving our whole lives, right? Whatever our thoughts are, that's what we're creating.
That's what we are.
That is what, unfortunately, and we want to sidestep away from having our thoughts be who we are and just being instead. So another great way to get you there is just elicit your 5 senses, your smell, sight, hearing, taste, and feel. And in any given moment, just all of a sudden think about those 5 senses. You can even use something imagined, remembering a wonderful picnic you were on and remembering what you tasted, what the air felt like. All of those things are like a mini vacation for your mind and your body. And again, it tells your whole body and brain that all is well and your cells can, again, start working the way they're supposed to work and get out of the fight or flight state.
Boy, I'll tell you, the sense of smell too.
It's very
that
profound. That's the
strong.
biggest.
Yeah.
Did you know you knew about that?
No.
Well,
I just know
we
that
have an
certain
organ.
smells
We have an
trigger
organ at the
memories
base of our brain called Jacob's organ, and it is so close to the brain stem compared to all of our other senses that the sense of smell can hold memories like no other.
Yeah.
And it's really quite amazing. You know how elephants never forget?
Yeah.
It's because of the Jacob's organ. They have the largest in the world, of course, of all animals, of all creatures. And they take their trunk and whatever it is they're trying to experience, they can actually access their Jacob's organ and bring whatever they're smelling that they like to smell with their trunk way back in the back of their mouth and touch that area, and they hold on to that memory forever, and that's why.
And that's where the expression comes from.
That's right. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many smell. I mean, radio stations have a particular smell to them. This doesn't anymore, modern stations, because everything's computer. But in the old days, it was the smell of acetate from tapes and recording blanks, recording discs, and then vinyl records with cardboard jackets.
Makes sense.
And a lot of old smoking guys hanging around, and all the tubes inside equipment that would heat up wood and metal and plastic, and that combination smell. To this day, if I turn on one of my instruments at home that's tube based, and that as it begins to warm up, the smell
puts you there.
Man, just the flood of memories
It gets you right
of
there.
stations I've worked at over the years. Yeah, it's incredibly evocative.
And we want to choose those good memories and places to go back to. So if that's so powerful for you as a positive one, imagine a very negative experience. For some people, that's what they're dealing with, and to retrain the brain from those kinds of things. Yeah, it takes
That's got to be hard. How do you do that? I mean,
A
it's
lot of
probably an
work.
unfair question for you to answer
a lot of work.
quickly.
A lot of work, yeah. A lot of retraining your mind. And, well, we always believed in science and in medicine that once you were an adult, your brain was fully formed and you couldn't change it. And since we've been able to have imaging of the brain, we've learned that that's not the truth. Our brain keeps changing until we leave this planet. And that's great news, because we can affect our brain every single day, and we can overcome all of the negative things if we really take the time and do the work. So that's a wonderful thing to know. We can be creating new neurosynapses to help us be healthy.
Well, that's good, because my big fear is one day those synapses are going to stop growing. And I've told my wife, the day that happens, baby, take me out to the lower 40, dig a pit 6 feet deep, put one between the eyes, let me fall back into the pit so you don't have to drag me, throw the dirt back over. Don't tell anybody where I went. I'm on vacation and I just disappeared, save the funeral expense. But, we all have our different fears. But, man, the thought of losing, what's up here. Mm-hmm. Not that I want to lose a limb or something else, but I could probably deal with that a lot better than losing the mental acuity. That would be a tough one,
But look at the time that you were born in, and the progress of medicine. The thing that you're the most worried about, you spend any time in this wonderful life that you're living worrying about that instead of living your wonderful life. The drug could be in process now and be ready to take care of you if that ever happens. So you may be just wasting your
You're a terrific
time
coach.
worried.
I love talking to you. By the way, we're talking with Bonnie Olson, certified Martha Beck life coach this morning on SYB. She has seminars coming up at RRMC, and we'll talk about those in a sec. But I didn't want to interrupt your train of thought here. We were talking about getting grounded and centered, and you were onto the 5 senses. But go on. I don't want to interrupt your train of thought there.
No, that's one complete little piece. And it's a very important one. And I just wanted to get that out there so people could pay attention to that and know that that's all it takes is our 5 senses oftentimes to get us there.
And then the third of your 3, the first one is the grounding. I jumped in on meditation because that's the big one for a lot of
Right.
folks.
I think
the middle one.
That's the attractive one because people are most familiar with hearing about meditation.
Right.
And I think that's why a lot of people are coming. But when it comes to our thoughts, They are sneaky little things.
That's the third one.
That's the third one.
Yeah, they are sneaky, aren't they? Pernicious little devils, aren't they?
They are. And what I would love for people to do is, if you've never heard of thought work, I invite you to go online and look up Byron Katie. Byron is her first name, believe it or not, and her last name is Katie. And she demonstrates, she does workshops all over the world in teaching people this system that she's developed to help you to drop some of these painful thoughts. Drop all of your painful thoughts, basically. And it's a process that I use every day in a shortcutted way because I'm so used to it. But I can, if I'm feeling uncomfortable about something, I will investigate what that thought is and where I started thinking it and why. And then I can start dissolving that thought for myself. And I'm telling you, it's an amazing process, and it really does help people a lot. What happens is, and it all goes back to the neuroscience again, we create these thoughts and these patterns of thoughts, and they're usually clusters of thoughts that make us unhappy. And we have developed such deep neural pathways in our brains, and that it's our go-to thought that we automatically go. You might go to bed thinking the thought, and of course, when you wake up, boom, the thought's right there still. And if that's the case, we know we really want to try to dissolve that thought. So this process helps us to actually examine our thought and to challenge that thought. And not in a way that your brain is going to resist it, but it's just a subtle, it's actually a form of meditation for the mind to go through this process that she calls inquiry. And it's a series of 4 questions that you ask about this thought you're having, a statement, a thought that you create into a statement so that you can work with this thought. And you end up bringing evidence against that thought, against it in such a way that you end up disproving that thought. Because as I said earlier, the lack of truth is really what makes us suffer. Truth sets us free. So
it can be scary, though, can it?
Well, not. It really isn't. In the way that this process is done, it really is not a scary process.
Don't we as human beings tend to resist going that deep, questioning those thoughts?
Well, the funny thing is about doing this, you don't have to go to the deepest, darkest thoughts. You don't start there anyhow. You wouldn't want to. You want to start with the ones that are more obvious, that are on the surface. And then you start kind of, snipping away around the edges. We don't have to go to those deep ones.
I love your approach.
Well, we got to be as sneaky as our thoughts.
Oh boy, are they sneaky too. And you never know, and then as a parent, you always say, oh, please, Lord, let me never have said or done something that I'm totally unaware that I did or said that is gonna stay with my kid, and when my kid is 30 and 50 and 70 is going to be saying in his or her head the thing that I just said as a flip remark, and it's going to be the dog chasing its tail thought in my kid's head. You don't want to do that to somebody. You don't want to plant that in their head.
Right. And boy, I'll tell you, I wish I had learned all these tools back when I had little daughters instead of grown daughters.
Yeah.
Too late. I do the best I can now.
I'll ask you a personal question. You don't have to answer it, but do they come back to you now and say, Ma, you shouldn't have done that. Look what you did. And now you realize,
well, I taught them.
Right,
I taught them how to worry.
Well,
so
you did. You carried on the great family tradition.
Yes, I did. Oh. But also, with what I have learned through coaching, I really have made a point to share as well whenever I possibly can.
Oh, good. Okay.
Like you, I try to undo some of the negative that I might have done back when they were younger. No, because I think we plant the seeds of worry in our children because it's a natural process as a parent. You really want to keep them safe.
Yeah, we want to.
And so you do what
them.
your parents did. You instill that seed of fear.
Yeah, well, you can't help it.
You can't help it. No.
And I must have been very good at it, or my wife was, because I had the biggest scaredy cat kid that ever came down. He was afraid of everything. Wouldn't get on a simple child's ride because he was smart enough to figure out, well, that might not be safe. Has that been inspected yet? I might fall off. I might hurt myself. Of course, now he's afraid of nothing. He's fearless now as an adult. He's I guess he, despite the fact that we passed on that instinctive fear, he's become very well grounded, very well centered. So
see, there you go.
I guess we did some things right in addition to some things wrong. So
well, we're all on our own journey too, and
true.
we're all different. And your son, who knows, may have been just his natural way to be very cautious.
I guess. Well, I could chat with you for hours. The hour's up.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I know. You got to go. We got to go. Oh, we're going to be late for the break. I got to hit it. Bonnie Olson, certified Martha Beck life coach. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Good luck. You won't need it with the seminars. They'll be great.
It'll be fun.
And we'll have you back soon, okay?
Thank you.
Great. Thanks. 9:56 SYB. We'll take one last break and wrap it up.
Hey, investors, more breaking news on gold and silver supply. Reports suggest China and India are trying to corner the market on physical gold and silver. Here's Kevin Demerit to report.
Well, Larry, in a recent interview, billionaire fund manager Eric Sprott tells us in 1 month, China purchased 85% of the physical gold produced and India bought 16% of the physical silver.
Did he say what that could do to their prices?
He said sometime this year, and I quote, the price of gold goes north of $2,000 and silver could quickly go over $50 an ounce.
Can our listeners get this report?
We'd be glad to send the report. Plus, we'll even send concerned listeners a free 1 gram pure silver bar to show how sincere we are about this prediction.
Folks, for the free report by Eric Sprott and a free 1 gram bar of pure silver, call Lear Capital today at 1-800-673-8203. This is a very limited offer and only available to the first 50 callers, so call now, 1-800-673-8203. That's 800-673-8203. 1-800-673-8203.
I want to make something of myself.
I want to succeed.
I was listening when opportunity knocked.
The National Guard recruiter helped me get where I wanted to go.
Now I'm working on Humvees as a mechanic in the National Guard.
The Guard is providing me with paid training. I'm getting the skills I need to become an engineer.
In the National Guard, I get money for college plus a steady paycheck.
I'm there for my family, my community, and my country. And the Guard is helping me with the skills I can apply as a civilian.
In the Guard, I train near my home so I can work full-time as a mechanic here in town.
I wanted to become a civil engineer, but I didn't know where to begin. Now the National Guard is helping make that a reality.
I'm the first one in my family to go to college. Feels great.
My family's so proud of me, and I'm proud to be a member of the National Guard.
Visit 1-800-GO-GUARD.com or call 1-800-GO-GUARD and ask how you can get the education and job skills you need in the National Guard.
Sponsored by the Vermont National Guard, aired by the Vermont Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Need a tip for home improvement? Hey, Gary Sullivan here, your home repair helper. Every weekend I take calls about refinishing countertops, painting both inside and outside the home, leaky plumbing fixtures, and deck repair. Believe me, nothing aggravates me more than a long list of overdue projects that I've put off around my home. Big project, small project, I've got a tip for you. If you don't have a project and you want one, I've got some great ideas for you. On our show, we can teach you how to build that fire pit you've always wanted, retile your bathroom floor, or even give you a new and easy way to clean those filthy gutters. So join in the conversation. We have fun and easy tips that you can use every day. And you know me, I'm all about easy. So whether you are a new homeowner, expert builder, or simply just want to hear ways to improve the quality of living in your home, tune in here every weekend and we'll do our best to help you.
At Home with Gary Sullivan each Sunday afternoon from 1 to 4 on WSYB and WSYB1380am.com.
Oh, I got to say, I really do love chatting with Bonnie Olson, certified Martha Beck life coach. BonnieOlsonLifeCoach.com, or you can email her Bonnie at BonnieOlsonLifeCoach.com. Great stuff. Let's all get grounded. Just in time for the 10 o'clock news and Sir Philbin. Have yourself a good one. See you tomorrow, God willing, and the creek don't rise.
WSYB Rutland at WSYB1380am.com.